just tell us how you started at Xeon and what is the whole concept?
So had my exit in 2016, took a couple, was on the board till 2018, and then took about 2 years off. And 2020, when I moved to Austin, I was introduced to some folks that had a lot of their content being censored on the internet. So the question I was asking myself, I was like, is there a product on the web that could build a truly censorship-resistant system? And then I took a step back to understand, well, what are the concepts that allow for decentralization on the web? And I started backwards. There's three things to think about in any application framework that allows you to actually send a message to another person. Number one is the identity of the user. So the question is, who is sending and who is receiving? So it's the base layer of who we are. On the internet. Most of the identity services that run on the internet are highly centralized. For example, 1.5 billion people in the world use Gmail to log into everything. They pretty much use it to log into their bank account. Yeah. That is their identity on the web. That's controlled by Google, right? So if Google decides that your Gmail is no longer allowed, then you lose all the downstream services that your original identity was tied to, that email address. So most people at the base layer don't own their digital identity. Then the next question is, how do messages move between two individuals? Usually if they run through email, maybe there's all these email servers. If you're on Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, any of those applications, you're running through a centralized server, a centralized broker that allows the message to go through. And then the final piece is the compensation element. Okay, so if you want to get paid for something, what are the services that allow a payment to move between two individuals? And if you look at most of the services on the web, again, highly centralized. So you need a trusted third party to actually make a payment go through. So when you explore payments, messaging, and identity, you realize that everything is highly centralized. So if you want to build a new type of system, you have to build it from the ground up and think about these three types of things. So Xeon was originally created to solve for those three problems, saying, okay, can we give an individual their own identity back and let them to be the only one that controls their identity? And we use a spec called DID, decentralized identity. And what's unique about it is that when you create it on your phone, if you go to the Xeon app and you go to create account, what happens is that we give you a 12-word seed phrase on the device. We don't actually give it to you though. The device is giving it to you. And what happens is that allows you now to have a secret key that is the login for your identity. And then we take that basically piece of code and we write it to a blockchain. We write it to Bitcoin's blockchain in particular. So now, instead of your identity living on Google's server, it now lives on the most immutable database ever created, replicated across thousands of machines across the world. And you are the only one that has access to it.
Wow.
I cannot delete your identity because now it's living on Bitcoin's blockchain. And what's cool about it is, well, how do we know this is true? Well, the way you know it's true is you go into the app, you click decentralized identity, you will see the DID, which is this really long string that you have full control over. And you can click this thing that says Open Explorer and actually find your identity on the Bitcoin blockchain and confirm that what you're seeing on your phone is actually living on that blockchain. And I think that's what's unique about that to me is that there is no central authority that decides who you are or decides, can you be on this service or can you not be on this service? And that's the beginning of building a decentralized web, is the base layer of interoperable decentralized